Alright guys, welcome back. Hopefully you've seen the Enhancement Shaman video, which is basically the same as this, but for enhancement, funny enough. Clues in the title. But we're going to look at, well, let's first of all, let's say you're leveling an Scottejaye Shaman in the pre-patch, and you want to know what spec you should go whilst leveling, but also what is the optimal sort of pre-patch spec, or in my opinion, what's the optimal pre-patch spec, then this video will probably be for you. So what we're going to look at is Elemental. Now, there's a few little things that I want to point out straight away, and that's some of the very useful Ellie talents are in the resto tree, but they're deeper than we can actually get to. So your Ellie sort of TBC spec is going to definitely differ from your pre-patch spec, because there's no point wasting points in resto when you can't get to the useful talents, which is going to make sense in a minute when we start looking at it. Before we get any further, if you like the video when you get to the end of it, please do drop it a like. It really does help out, and obviously make sure you subscribe to the channel for lots of TBC content. If you're not a shaman but you're watching this anyway, I am going to be doing absolutely every class and giving you my reasons why I would pick this spec during the pre-patch. So as I say, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and let's jump in. So first guys, I just want to, before we even get into the Ellie talents, I just want to show you what I was talking about at the start when it comes to the resto tree talents, what you want. So if we go as deep down as you will go in TBC, it's for Tidal Mastery, which increases the critical effect chance of your healing and lightning spells. So that's 5% crit. If you don't know already because you're new to Shaman, Elemental crit is king. Like, crit is absolutely, you want it on as much as physically possible. So getting that extra 5% crit from the resto talents is absolutely worthwhile. But obviously we can't get that deep because we absolutely want to get Totem of Wrath, which obviously is your final talent in Ellie, and it buffs you and it buffs your party. So you're absolutely going to be getting this in the pre-patch. Which, let's pretend for a minute you just went straight down to there. Now you've got 10 points left. So the best that you can do in resto is reduce the mana cost of your healing spells, or reduce the casting time of Healing Wave, whichever one. I'd probably go for Tidal Focus if I'm completely honest. And then you're going to get Totemic Focus, reducing the mana cost of your totems by 25%. But that's nice. The 25% mana reduction on your totems is nice, but we will have to skip certain talents in the Ellie tree to even be able to get there. So that's going to make sense. So I'll talk you through what we're going to do in the Ellie tree, and we'll go bare bones. We'll go like what you absolutely require, and then we'll talk about where I think the extra talents in Ellie in the pre-patch will be worthwhile, even though you won't spec that at level 70 in TBC. So let's just start straight away. It's very easy. You're going to want, obviously, increasing the damage of your Lightning Bolt, Chain Lightning, and your Shock spells by 5%. You absolutely want that. And Ellie Shamans are a bit of a beast when it comes to mana consumption. So we're also going to go 5 into Convection, which reduces the mana cost of your Shock, Lightning Bolt, and Chain Lightning by 10%. Obviously, we want that. I'm going to gloss over the next tier for a second, but we are going to come back to it, and I'll explain why shortly. So Elemental Focus. So this helps you with your mana. So after landing a critical strike with a Fire, Frost, or Nature damage spell, you enter a clear casting state. The clear casting state reduces the mana cost of your next 2 damage spells by 40%. So this is why critting is like, critting's as good as MP5, but a lot of MP5, because every time you crit, you're going to get Elemental Focus, which reduces the mana cost of your next spells, and obviously it goes on and on and on, and yeah, ultimately crit, that is why crit is king. It's sustainability. So we're absolutely going to go 1 in Elemental Focus, and then we're going to take 5 in Call of Thunder. So this increases the crit strike chance of Lightning Bolt and Chain Lightning by another 5% in total. This is where you've got some options. So ultimately, Call of Flame is an AoE talent, because obviously on single target you're going to be using Totem of Wrath as your fire totem, but on AoE you might be using Magma or Fire Nova, or you know, you're going to be using a fire totem to AoE. So this is absolutely an AoE talent. It's 15% extra damage from your fire totem, so absolutely worth getting. And now you're probably like, well, why am I not selecting 5 in Reverberation, for example? And remember, I'm doing this in order. So the first, your first 10 talent points, you are going into the top row. You're then skipping the second row. That's why we've come back to Call of the Flame, and you're going to go 1 in Elemental Focus. Then you're going to get your crit, and then you're going back to Call of Flame. And you're probably like, well, why haven't you put anything in Reverberation? Because it sounds good. Reducing the cooldown of your Shock sounds good. It is good, but actual single target or AoE, you're not shocking on cooldown. The only time you really use shocks is either to interrupt or flame shock if you're moving. So it's not something that you're using on cooldown like if you was an Enhancement Shaman, for example. So it's not really required, but we do need 1 point to be able to get down to the next tier. So now, if you're planning to level as Ellie, I would argue that Eye of the Storm is probably the right place to put this point. But if you're not bothered about that, then, and you're just making your sort of pre-patch spec and you're building up to it so you don't need to respec when you hit 60, for a pre-patch spec, I would be going 1 in reverberation, because the 0.2 seconds off it is better than any of the following tier. So then after this, Elemental Fury increases the critical strike damage bonus of your Searing and Magma Totem, Fire Nova Totem, blah, blah, blah. All your spells by 100%. Absolutely want this. This is where you're going to get your big crits from. Now, you're going to want Storm Reach, obviously for the range. Now, while you're leveling, you're probably not in a rush for that, but you probably are in a rush to reduce downtime. So getting the mana per 5 from Unrelenting Storm early can be nice, but ultimately we ain't going to have enough points to max this out anyway. So which way you go from here is completely up to you. I personally, but just due to low amounts of intellect when you're leveling and stuff like that anyway, so the mana per 5 is going to be quite small. You know, I know it's relevant to the level, but I would be going into the range first, and then I'd be getting 2 into Unrelenting Storm afterwards. Now, we've got reduces the cast time of your Lightning Bolt and Chain Lightning by basically half a second with 5 points in, or increases your chance to hit and reduces your threat. So you're going to get 6% hit with your nature spells here. Now, all your spells, basically. Now, due to your questing, you know, if you're questing in this spec, you're probably not going to have mass amounts of chance to miss. You're not fighting boss level mobs or anything like that. I would be tempted to go for Lightning Mastery first. Then I'd pick up Elemental Mastery, which when activated, you basically get a free crit and reduces the mana cost by 100%. Then I would be going back into picking up Elemental Precision. Now, you've got 1 point to waste. And when I say waste, it's not a waste. You're obviously going to put this in Unrelenting Storm for your mana per 5. Then we're going to go 5 into Lightning Overload. This gives you those juicy sort of double lightning bolts. So I'll just read it to you. It gives you Lightning Bolt and Chain Lightning spells a 20% chance to cast a second similar spell on the same target at no additional cost and causes half the damage and no threat. So very, very nice. And then finally, obviously, we're going to pick up Totem of Wrath or Totem of Wraith, whatever you want to call it. So that's 3% hit and crit for your party, but you know, you essentially. So now you're getting, remember, 6% hit you're getting from Elemental Precision and then 3% from your totem. But all we got left now is 10 points. So like I say, you can quite easily go 5 into Tidal Focus and 5 into Totemic Mastery, which will reduce your mana cost of totems by 25%, which will be nice at 60, don't get me wrong. I would be more tempted now to fill out a bit more in the Ellie tree, even though at 70 you'll respec, or maybe even at 60 when the Dark Portal opens you'll respec to go to make sure basically when you ding 70 you're working on your Tidal Mastery talent. But as it's the pre-patch, and mana probably won't be an issue, I want to say, because, you know, bosses will die really, really quick. So you might be able to shock a bit more than you will be able to in TBC. So ultimately what I would do from here is pick up the rest in Unrelenting Storm, just max that out. I would max out Reverberation, and then you're left with 4 points. And now, quite honestly, you can put these 4 points wherever you want. If you're going to be doing some questing, you might actually want to pick up Eye of the Storm, or if you're doing some PvP, you might want to pick up Eye of the Storm. So, you know, when you get crit, it gives you focus casting, so it prevents you from losing cast time. Could even be potentially useful in the odd raid if you've got an ad on you or something like that, you know, so on trash, I don't know. There'll be some form of usefulness you can probably get out of this. As I say, I wouldn't really recommend going into the resto tree at all. So I here, during the pre-patch, would be tempted to go 3 of 3, Eye of the Storm, and then you got 1 point. Do what you want. Literally do what you want with it. Just stick 1 in, I don't know, maybe get some more mana. Whatever, you know, whatever. You're going to have to respec when you get to 70 anyway. But if you went like this, you can level all through, you know, level in the pre-patch, and during the pre-patch go straight into raids, dungeons, whatever, and not need to respec. I hope that put a bit of explanation around the talents. I hope you found it useful. If you did, as I said at the beginning, make sure you like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the resto video, because that's the last one I want to get done today. Once again, massive shout out to all you guys up there that have joined the channel as a member, so that's as a supporter or a legendary supporter. Every single one of you, really, really appreciate it. It just keeps helping the channel grow, helps keeping me sat in this chair pumping out TBC content that hopefully you want to see. Come check me out over on twitch.tv/Scottejaye87, where I stream most nights, pretty much every night, while the beta's out anyway, and then I'm probably going to be just doing 4 nights a week, which is still quite a lot. But again, massive thank you guys, all of you, even the subscribers. If you haven't subscribed already, make sure you subscribe. Everything helps this channel keep growing from now until TBC and beyond. See you on the next one.